I looked at my mom and said, "If my wheelchair makes the family photos look awkward, then you won't have to worry about me being in them at all." And I haven't spoken to her since. It's funny how a single moment can show you exactly where you stand with the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally. My family didn't explicitly disinvite me for my sister's wedding. They did something much worse. They tried to guilt trip me into disinviting myself so they wouldn't have to look like the bad guys. To understand how we got here, you have to understand what happens after a major accident. 2 years ago, I was in a severe car crash that left me paralyzed from the waist down. In the first few months, everyone was there. My mom, my dad, and my older sister Chloe were constantly by my hospital bed. Before the accident, I had been working a steady corporate job and strictly saving up for a down payment on a place of my own, which is how I managed to have a solid $5,000 tucked away in a high-yield savings account. Even with my ongoing physical therapy bills, I managed to keep that safety net intact. But as the months rolled on, the harsh reality of my disability set in for my family. Dinners at our favorite local restaurants stopped because they had steps at the entrance. Family outings became a massive logistical headache. Slowly, I started noticing a shift. They stopped inviting me to casual weekend lunches. When I asked why, my mom would say, "Oh, honey, we just thought the crowd would tire you out, or the parking there is so bad, we didn't want you to have to deal with the gravel." They were wrapping their own exhaustion with my disability in fake concern for my comfort. Then, Chloe got engaged. I was genuinely happy for her and wanted to support her, so I chose to pivot my house savings toward Chloe's dream wedding dress, offering to pay the full $5,000 from my account because I wanted to show her that my injury wouldn't change our bond as sisters. She cried, hugged me, and told me I was the best sister in the world. But when it came to choosing the venue, I was completely left out of the loop. A few weeks ago, my mom asked me to come over to talk about the logistics. When I arrived, the atmosphere was incredibly tense. My mom sat me down at the kitchen table, poured 2 coffees, and didn't look me in the eye. She told me Chloe had found the absolute perfect venue, a gorgeous, historic rustic barn out in the countryside. Then came the catch. Because it was a heritage site, it had zero accessibility. The paths were deep gravel, the dining area was up a steep flight of wooden stairs, and the bathrooms were portable-style trailers down a grassy hill. My mom looked at me with this pitying smile and said, "Sarah, we looked into renting a heavy-duty ramp, but the venue coordinator said it's a liability risk for the old structure. We love you so much, and we know how stressful it is for you to navigate places like this. So we think it's best if you just come for the outdoor ceremony and then maybe go home and rest before the reception. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable or trapped." I sat there looking at her, and the pieces finally clicked. They didn't choose this venue by accident. They chose it because they wanted their aesthetic country wedding, and my wheelchair didn't fit the vibe. They wanted me to smile, sit in the back row of the ceremony, and then quietly disappear so I wouldn't ruin the reception logistics. I looked at my mom, my heart pounding, and said, "If my wheelchair makes the family photos look awkward, then you won't have to worry about me being in them at all." I turned around and wheeled myself straight out to my car. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. But when I got home, I opened my banking app. I had set up a milestone payment plan with the bridal boutique for Chloe's dress, and the final authorization was scheduled for the following Monday. I called the boutique, canceled the pending payment, and requested a refund for the deposit based on a clause in the contract about timeline changes. Then I sent a screenshot of the canceled transaction to Chloe with a text that read, "Since the reception venue is too difficult for me to navigate, I figure I should save my money for things that are actually accessible to me. Good luck with the dress." The fallout was immediate and chaotic. Chloe called me screaming, crying that her dress order was now on hold and she might not get it in time for the wedding. My dad finally called me, lecturing me about how petty I was being, and saying that families should support each other. I asked him where that support was when they booked a venue that literally locks me out of my sister's celebration. When half my family turned on me and called me a bitter, vindictive monster, my group of close friends became my absolute lifeline. They were completely disgusted by the passive-aggressive exclusion, pointing out that booking an inaccessible heritage venue was a choice, not an accident. They fiercely reassured me that pulling the financial support was just a natural consequence of being treated like a second-class citizen. They even joked that if my family cared so much about the wedding vibe, they could vibe their way into paying for the dress themselves, which gave me the validation I desperately needed to keep them all blocked. Am I the bad guy here?